Hi guys, thanks for bearing with me. You're listening to Ebird Online and I'm reviewing Before the 90 Days. The rest is still unwritten and this is the final segment of my review. And today I'm going to be covering Micheal and Angela and Rebecca and Zied. I'm nearing my 1,500 subscribers mark. Guys, please help to push me over that threshold. And thank you so much to all those who have subscribed already. And what can I say about Micheal and Angela that hasn't already been said about Johnny Depp and Amber Heard? They're a train wreck waiting to happen. The only difference about a train wreck is that I don't have to see it on my screen. So we catch up with Angela and she's with her daughter and she's showing her daughter all of the presents she's got for Micheal. And at this point I really can't say anything more about these selfish presents. She's given Micheal, who's allegedly an avowed Trump supporter, Donald Trump underpants, and it actually gives me great pleasure to talk about Donald Trump because one of my subscribers got onto my message board last week and demanded that I not bring Donald Trump's name into anything. In fact, I am to keep all politics out of these reviews. Now, whilst I don't bring politics into things where it doesn't need to be brought into it, it's pretty difficult to leave politics and politicians out of a socio-political process such as visa application. But now I've got one more angle to mention Donald Trump: underpants. And as she's telling her daughter all about her sex life and showing her sex toys, her daughter looks 1, embarrassed and 2, unimpressed. Angela tells the VT, even though she's 20 years older than Micheal, they still have an amazing sex life. And I tell Angela, you're innumerate, try 30 years. And then Angela gushes, it's been about a year since I've seen him and I just can't wait to see my baby. And then she moans for a few moments more, telling her daughter she's still upset with him for cheating, fair enough, and lying about his whereabouts on his birthday. We've gone through this before, he changed his mind, he went to the pub with his mates. But she tells us, even after all the fussing and fighting, I'm still excited to go. And the daughter points out, you're getting him all this stuff, underpants and sex toys, whatever, and you don't even trust him. And Angela snaps back, you're putting it in my thoughts. Angela, every time you speak, it's about Micheal cheating. It's never far from your thoughts. Let's not and say we did. And then her daughter drives her to the airport and Angela confides, recently she said she might consider being a surrogate. That's the least enthusiastic sentence I think I've ever heard. She might consider being a surrogate. So at the moment, she's not even considering it. What's she doing? Listening to Angela's request and then ignoring it? But she said she might consider it. Doesn't sound like she's going to do it to me. And this was further backed up when her daughter said, I still think Michael's in it just for the money and the visa. Realistically, what else could it be? And Angela knows it, and I think she's kind of fine with it somehow. She's pretending that she's in love, but she knows she's in lust, and she knows that to bring a small innocent child into this relationship would be wrong of her. But nevertheless, she's still trying to get him a visa. And then we shoot across to Nigeria and we see Micheal. Micheal lives in Lagos, which is the capital, and we see Micheal walking up to a market stall and he's buying, I think, telephone cards for his cell. And he tells us he spends $400 a month on his phone as they speak several times a day. I've been to Nigeria many times, and although things are ridiculously expensive, I just find that hard to believe. Why doesn't she get him an iPhone and then they can just FaceTime? After all, half the stolen iPhones from Europe end up in Nigeria. The way I see it, it must be a wash with them. Unlimited data in Nigeria should be about $50 a month. So I just wonder, what is it you're doing? Has Angela got a secret sex line that you're unwittingly paying for? Actually, don't answer that. Sometimes when watching Before the 90 Days, I wonder what's going to happen next. What have the producers scripted for me next? And this was one of those scenes. Micheal meets up with his friends and they're all sitting around chatting and asking him why they haven't seen him. They know he's not allowed out with them, but I think he goes out with them anyway. This is literally just for the cameras. And then one of his friends said, your fiance's white? Come on now, it's not as if Angela blends in. She doesn't blend in even in Georgia, never mind Lagos. So then the same friend says, have you kissed her? How would you have a fiance and you've never kissed her? Pipe down, Avery and Omar. What a ridiculous question. And he starts laughing and I don't know, I didn't really like this scene because I felt as if he was overly disrespectful. They know very well Michael's on the grind, he wants to get to America, and his friends seem a little bit two-faced. They say privately to the VT that Angela has turned Micheal into a pussy. You see, Jennifer, even they know not to let Micheal know that they're calling him a pussy. Even they wouldn't say it straight to his face like you did with Tim. But I digress. I did think it was really harsh when they called him a pussy. But then he said that she'd made him give up his job because she wanted to know where he was at all times and she wanted to be able to get hold of him. So she sends him money and he sits at home waiting for her phone calls. So Angela, you're getting Micheal used to not working, you're robbing him of the opportunity of gaining extra skills and extra experience, no matter what it's in, and then you want to bring him to America? Do you not want him to work? Do you want him to be a kept man there? This is ridiculous and it can't possibly work. If he gets used to asking you for money, he's never gonna stop. And even his friends realise that he's no longer head of his house and that he's been emasculated. And Micheal tells us he misses going to work. Honestly, at this point, it's getting towards being an abusive relationship. How would we feel if the sexes were switched and there was an older, richer man somewhere and he was paying money to a girl and forcing her to stay at home? Not because she wanted to, but because he wanted to know where she was and what she was doing at all times. No, Micheal shouldn't have cheated, but let's face fact, Angela, there was a continent between you. And let's face fact, there is also a generation between you. So I understand Michael's predicament. Micheal clearly lives in one of the poorer parts of Lagos. I've been to Ikoyi and Victoria Island, and I'm not quite sure where it is that he lives, but he's washing outside and you can definitely tell that he doesn't have a lot of money. And as far as I'm concerned, Angela's really exploiting that. She's dangled this carrot of a green card. She's super bossy. She demands that he doesn't work. She demands that he spends hours on the phone to her daily. And the more I see about this relationship, the more uneasy I am. She's robbing Michael's best years. And poor Micheal, I think that he thinks he's going to get to America and he's going to walk into some Las Vegas type scenario. Or if she lives in Georgia, maybe it's going to be just like the Housewives of Atlanta. From what I've seen, it really isn't. And although of course there's far more opportunity for Micheal in America than there seems to be in Nigeria, there's definitely some blatant exploitation going on here. But there's one thing that Angela does do. She brings great TV. And I see from the trailer for next week, there's some sort of fight in the streets. And Angela's right in the middle of it all. I guess if anyone's suited to the hustle and bustle that is Lagos, it's Angela. She doesn't seem to be scared of anything or anyone. Ange, I'll see you next week. Last and least, it's Rebecca and Zied, and we catch up with them in the same bar that we left them in last week. And Rebecca's sitting there, showing the whole bar her arms. You dirty cow, and wearing a sexy top. So this is one of the most ridiculous scenes I've ever witnessed. Zied is sat in the bar and he's basically evil-eyeing every single patron of the bar. It seems as if there are only men in this bar, which is unsurprising in a Muslim country, I guess. And he's looking around at everybody and is surveying the bar like Clint Eastwood, looking ready to kick into action at any moment. And the guy that he was arguing with last week was talking to his friend, and at one point Zied actually said, "I know you are talking about me." And the guy's like, "I'm not talking about you, I'm not interested in you, leave me alone." But he wouldn't leave it, and a massive argument ensued, and they had to call for security to calm the whole situation down. The whole time this was happening, Rebecca was saying, look at me to Zied, stop arguing, calm down. And Zied refuses to look at her, he looks the opposite way. He's like a big, volatile baby, sucking his hookah pipe like a dummy. Rebecca swiftly puts on her leather jacket again, averting further stares, and they leave the bar. We catch up with them the following day in a hotel room, and there are glum faces all round. Zied said, "Last night made me angry so much." Rebecca tells us she can't handle Zied being angry in a relationship, and she can't handle a jealous person. And she says it in such an offhand manner, thereby denying any responsibility for her own large part in proceedings. Because Zied is right, even though he is a volatile big baby, she did wear the dress of an American. She didn't respect any customs, and she more or less called the whole fight on. I think any guy in any bar, in any part of the world, would have a problem with another guy sitting and staring at their partner whilst they were sitting there. I think that Rebecca wanted this to happen. I think she wanted three things. I think she wanted to garner attention from other guys. I think she wanted to push Zied's buttons and then be able to say, "Don't be jealous, stop being angry." She knows what sort of person he is. I knew just by looking at him that he was angry and jealous and possessive. He even said so last week. So none of this is a surprise. And finally, I think she wanted to make a point that I will wear what I want all the time. And as Zied said, you can in America, but just not here. Well, she tells him she wants him to work on his jealousy, and she miserably lets us know that she has to meet his parents this evening, and she doesn't want to meet his parents while they're not speaking. So Zied pulls out a dress for Rebecca to wear, and it's like an Arabic smock, and it's really nice actually. It's kind of cream and white, but then he pulls on this sort of bib, which doesn't seem to go with the outfit at all. And also, it must be from the same tailor that made his football outfit last week, because it's at least 3 sizes too small. And Zied informs Rebecca that his parents have never met one of his girlfriends previously. And whilst they're driving there, he said in quite a worried voice, "Baby, please try not to mention drinking alcohol, sleeping in the same hotel room, and your tattoos." Oh Zied, the tattoos are going to be quite a problem because they go right to her wrist. She would have needed cover-up makeup to get rid of that. So I don't know how this is going to pan out. But I think that maybe there's a few things that Zied's left off the list of things for Rebecca not to mention. She shouldn't mention 1. Marriages 1 to 3. 2. The fact she's still married. 3. Her penchant for Photoshop. 4. Her host role clothes. 5. Her lingerie modelling. 6. Morocco and her great in-depth knowledge of customs and culture. 7. Her grandchildren. 8. Who paid for the car rental. And 9. Allegedly looking sexy. If I were you, Zied, I'd add all of those to the list. And finally, Rebecca tells us that she's worried to death because Zied has not been truthful to his parents about who she really is. Well, that would be impossible, Rebecca, because you've not been truthful to Zied yourself. You're a married grandmother. My money is on Zied's parents won't like her one little bit. But luckily for them, they don't speak any English, so they won't have the ignominy of hearing her speak to Zied like a 2-year-old. Right, that's it for this week. I'll be back next week with another roundup. Please don't forget to subscribe, and also please don't forget to press the like button on the video as well. You've been listening to Ebird Online. Ciao for now.